Hello, everybody. I hope you all doing good and everybody had a great new year. So, today I am here to talk about a topic known as the exoteric wisdom and the esoteric wisdom. So, these two categories exist in every spirituality field. So, it existed right from the beginning of any religion that was founded. So, whenever a great master or a great uh, being incarnates into this earthly realm, and when they bring about a spiritual fire or spiritual initiation, following that, after a period of years, there will be certain rules and traditions which are formed in basis of that spiritual fire which was developed in that community. So these traditions and rules, in order to keep that fire going, we term these traditions and rules as the exoteric. So these are laid in place so that the spiritual fire which was brought about by the great masters will not fade. They will prevail throughout the ages. So these traditions, rules, and structures are placed. So this part of traditions and structures, we say it as the exoteric or the external, or we can say it has the masculine impulse. The other part of the spiritual fire and the spiritual initiation, everything related within uh, inside that exoteric traditions, the flow of the spirit or the fire which was brought, that part we name it as the esoteric, or it's known as the inner knowing or the hidden knowledge, the hidden wisdom related to the exoteric practices. So this is the difference between exoteric and the esoteric. The esoteric is more of the feminine impulse. Now, what happens when there is only the exoteric principle that is prevailing and the inner knowing or the esoteric wisdom is lost? How does it look? So currently we are living in an age, we are living in the very hardened, the 3D realm, the very dense uh, time or the epoch that we are able to see only the external traditions and rituals, otherwise only the exoteric spirituality. The esoteric is completely lost. If we can take all the religions, whether it is Christianity, Hinduism, or whatever it is, we can see that there is only the exoteric part or the hard shell. There is only the rules, structures, and traditions which have been done from generations to generations without knowing the meaning of it. There is a sense of sacredness around that, but the real meaning of it is lost. So this is when the danger of the exoteric wisdom begins. And exoteric uh, spirituality is formed. I can't even say it as spirituality, because when it is void, it is just rules and regulations. It's just a dead shell, hard shell. When the real meaning of why we place these rules and traditions are lost, when the power of that is lost, when the spirit of the exoteric is lost, it becomes just a tradition, and during the course of time it gets defiled because we have lost the real meaning, and instead of the Spirit of God, there is some other spirit or some other negative spirit which dwells. So, the esoteric or the inner knowing, the inner wisdom, the living wisdom, which connects us, our human body, with the spirit and soul, needs to come back to the forefront in these days. So let me talk about an example of where we have lost the esoteric impulse. If you take, for example, if you take a wedding ceremony, in the ancient days, the various rituals and ceremonies which was done around this wedding ceremony was completely based on the esoteric or the inner knowledge of what is actually happening. So much importance was given. So whenever there was any kind of rituals in a wedding, there was this great knowing or the inner knowing of what it actually is. Everybody knew what it was. Everybody was prepared for it. It was not just an external show. For example, they knew that the male and the female who are going to get married, they need to go to a certain preparation alone. They need to clean their astral body, their etheric body. They need to make themselves pure. They need to seek the God, the self within themselves, and then come together. So more importance was given to that, and they knew every rituals that was done in the marriage had a profound impact. They knew that in every ritual there was a spiritual being that was involved in it. But if you come back now to this age, we can see that there are the same rituals happening, but there is no power in it. There is no knowledge about what they are doing. We are so much focused on the traditions and the ceremonies, and we are so much focused on what dress we wear, what jewelries we are going to wear. But if you ask them whether you gone through the inner transformation, the cleansing process, the purification process within your own being and soul, in order to join with another human being, they will either see that you are either mad, or they will think that it is completely absurd. So this is one example where I want to explain about how the exoteric, the traditions, rules and structures have ruled over this age and epoch, and where completely the power of the spirit or the wisdom of each things have been diminished. So it is important that the exoteric and the esoteric to have a balance. We should know what we are doing whenever we are indulging in any rituals or traditions. It is important for us to know what this rituals and traditions is about. Is it going to help me with my inner transformation of my soul? Is it going to help me to unite my soul with the spirit? Whether is it going to help me to build my immortal body? Whether it is going to help me to clean my astral body, my etheric body, whether it is going to help my ego to be transformed in the God ego. So these questions need to be asked. Okay? And also another important thing is, you should know whether the rituals and the traditions which you are following now is applicable for this epoch, whether it is helping you to evolve your Christian individuality, or whether you are under a group consciousness or a group soul. Each person currently are at a different soul evolution. So for each person there are different kinds of rituals and traditions that is needed for them to move forward. For example, for an average spiritual seeker, you cannot give something which is advanced. So they will move at a certain level. The rituals and the way they pray is completely different from an advanced spiritual seeker. So it is important for everyone to know whether in whatever religion they are, to question what they are doing and to really see whether it is helping them, whether the rituals, traditions they are doing is helping them to embody the light from above and completely bring about a transformation. These questions need to be asked. So what happens when there is only the spirit and there is no exoteric, or there is no rules and traditions? Even this is a danger side. So what happens is, when you are only in the flow of the spirit, you are always in a trance or a state of consciousness where of like oneness. It is good, I'm not saying it is bad, but if you are only in a state of the spirit and not embodying the exoteric side, you are never going to embody the spirit completely within your body. The individual will always be in an imaginary world. It is important that whatever you got from the spirit, from the light, that you bring it down from your heart towards the last 3 chakras, which is related to the earth and the human body. For some great advanced spiritual beings, they have completely embodied it. So that's an exception. But most of the people now, they do not bring the light towards the lower 3 chakras, which is related to the stability, to the various activities we do in this earth. So all the light and whatever they received is only here. It is never gone. You're not embodying it completely. So that is not a complete structure of what God wants. So what happens when the light enters the lower region is, you will be demanded to deal with your inner dragons or inner shadows. So all the pain and which you have carried from your past lives, or which you have carried during the present lives or from your parents, everything will start to come out. So the light will demand you to go into your inner darkness and clean everything, and to learn your lessons, and to bring back the treasures, not for yourself, but to give it to your fellow brothers and sisters so that they can also come up. So in order for you to bring this light into your lower regions, it is necessary that you work with the rules and traditions and rituals which are implemented for that particular process. So like previously I've talked about various epochs and cultural epochs. In each cultural epochs, whenever a great spiritual master comes in and teaches, he brings about the fire, and then there will be rules and traditions involving that, and how to work with those. So according to the consciousness which was present at that time, those will work. But once we are evolving, we are always evolving. So now you have to understand what kind of rituals and traditions are going to work at this current epoch. So even that is important. So when you take the epoch before the incarnation of Christ, there was not much work there. What I mean is, like, we did not have this kind of work we do 24/7 kind of work. Most of the people had lot of time, so it was easy for them to go into a cave or be in a home and meditate, bring into balance all their chakras and their thought forms. It was easy. There was not much of things that they had to do. Most of the time they were in nature, and it was easy for them to embody the spirit. So at that time, there were many people who have renounced all their earthly possessions, and they have gone to certain places and have practiced certain techniques in order for them to clean their soul and to merge themselves with the higher beings. But now, at this current moment, it is not like that. It is demanded that everyone should work. So we cannot put that as an excuse and say, since I am like so and so work, I cannot do that. So you have to understand or get to know what kind of rituals and what kind of rules will help me to embody my higher light within my being, to work with my shadows. So it is upon each individuality. Okay, and also we have to make sure that we are not following anything, any traditions or rituals which are dead and which are not related to this epoch. If it is bringing you inner transformation, I am all in for it. But if it is not, if it is only taking you to a certain level, then it is time for you to see what needs to be done. So this is the importance of the exoteric. So only the esoteric will not help for individuals who need to clean their lower chakras. It's important for them to be in a tradition. It is important for them to be to embody the rules and regulations of certain spiritual initiation. Okay, otherwise it is going to be very hard for you to deal with your inner dragons. So this is the use of the exoteric and the esoteric. But currently we know that everything has been exoteric. Everything has been rules and traditions. People follow it just because the society asks them to do it. It's no one knows what they are doing, and if one talks to them related to anything related to the spirit, the esoteric, the inner wisdom, the inner knowledge of the soul and spirit, they're going to look at you as if you are absurd, or they don't even know what you are talking. But still they are the people who are following these traditions. But when you start talking about the inner meaning of them, they are going to be either confused or either angry with you. So that's the stage where we are now. And so this needs, we should make sure that whatever we are doing, we know it, that the inner wisdom, the living wisdom which is related to it, is unifying the exoteric principle, whichever you are applying in order for the inner transformation, that through the living wisdom that you are able to completely unite your soul and body with the higher spirit. Okay, everything, whatever we do, whether it is a tradition behind a marriage or any kind of ceremony, that the inner power and transformation power, the wisdom of it should be understood by every individual. It shouldn't be just an exoteric act. The knowledge of exoteric should be gained by anyone who is following the esoteric principles. And people who are dealing only with the esoteric knowledge or the higher light should embody the light completely within your lower being, using the exoteric principles and rules which are written by the great saints. It is there to help you, it is never to put you down, but you should know where you have to draw the line. So that viveka, that wisdom is needed. And so, okay, as I've told you that the exoteric principles are there so that you can embody your higher man completely embody it, not half, not over here, and you become a new person. So one can ask, till when will this exoteric part of the spirituality remain? So I can tell that currently we are at the end of the fifth cultural epoch. So when we move towards the sixth and the seventh, our bodies are going to be lighter and lighter, because we have reached the pivotal point where we are the densest now. And now, through the Christ principle, we are slowly losing our dense body, and we are slowly moving into the etheric, the astral. We are going back to the great Lord from where we have come. We have played all our games and we have learned our lessons, and we're slowly moving back. So when we are moving back again, we will lose the esoteric, the exoteric part of the spirituality. And note here, this is done once a person has completely evolved, once the person has polished their inner Christ and ego to such an extent that it has started to radiate from within throughout his own body, throughout his life, and to the surroundings around. They have reached such maturity, and only then we are going to remove that esoteric shell and move into the spirit. So if you are not done with the lower three realm, then you need to follow some structures so that you can overcome it. If you try to run without doing that, then you are never going to embody your higher self, and you will fool yourself thinking that you know everything. But at the end of the day, you will be not fully evolved, and there will be consequences for that. So, coming back, once we completely evolve our inner body, the inner ego, Christ and ego, and then we are going to get out of this esoteric shell and move into the esoteric. And remember, previously when we were in the lighter etheric body, we were under the group consciousness. We never had our ego or I developed at that time. But now here, once we get out of the esoteric shell, we have our individuality. So strong and so holy individuality now. It has developed. So it is for that baby I, or that new person of the Christian ego within yourself to come out, that these esoteric things are needed. But once that the new person has come out, then all these are of no use. They are just a shell. It's similar like you're being in a when you are a baby or a form of a fetus, that you had the placenta and everything to take care of you and shield you, so that you will not be in any harm. So your development will be completely whole. So till then, those things, organs are needed and they will do their work. But once the time comes to be delivered, now it is a new being. You are on your own. So the same help, you will not go back to that. Okay, so this is how the exoteric and the esoteric will work. Another example I can give you, it's like the chicken coming out from the egg. For a certain period of time, it is there to protect and help you to grow. But once it has developed into an Christian individuality, once you have given birth to yourself as a Christian individuality, you no longer need of that exoteric. Only then you won't need of that exoteric. But till then, you need to learn, you need to have the balance between both. So these are the two sides of the spirituality, which is esoteric and exoteric. Another example of the exoteric and esoteric is the Eucharist, or the communion, the Holy Communion, which is done by all the churches, all kind of divisions and groups of church members. So let me give so what do we do from an exoteric perspective? What we do? The priest prays over the bread and the wine, the liquid, whatever it is, as the blood and the body of Christ, and then it is given to the believers to have it. So from a physical point of view, we are seeing this as bread, the liquid, and the act of giving. So what happens? What is the esoteric meaning? So this is a kind of a powerful ritual, a shell which is given to budding Christians or the budding believers, to help them to know that the etheric body of theirs, the etheric body is also known as the Linga Sharira in the Eastern mysteries. So we all have the etheric bodies. So when this act is done, the esoteric meaning is that their etheric body is being completely purified by the blood or the Christ impulse which entered into the etheric body of this earth when the crucifixion happened. So they are taking partaking the Christ impulse, the blood of the Christ, which is in this etheric realm. They're taking it in so that they can clean their etheric body, to heal their etheric body. And what does the partaking of body means? That means they are having a direct communion or the relationship with the Christ in the etheric body, that their astral body is being purified by the deed what Christ has done. So this is the meaning of the partaking of the Holy Communion. Or otherwise we can say that their dense body is now slowly being transformed into their beautiful etheric body. or we can say there is a spiritual consummation that happens when you partake or when you take in the Christ impulse from the etheric realm, and when you communion with the Christ in the etheric realm. There's a consummation of the spirit and the soul. And it's a kind of ecstasy that happens here. Okay, in order for you to understand this ritual is needed. Okay, but now I don't think everybody knows what they're doing when they partake in this tradition. Sadly, I have seen people taking this tradition as a kind of weapon to criticize other people, or to weaponize against other people, or in some cases to mark the purity of another people. So this ritual is seen as such. And I can see a lot of whenever this ritual is happening, a lot of emotions around it. There's a crying, there's a lot of sobbing around all the emotional sensations, but rarely the real meaning of it is understood. Because I have seen people who have taken this ritual in every tradition and they remain same. 20 years they are same. There's no inner transformation. There's this, you become a different person altogether. Like I told you, it's the outer expression of what is actually happening in your everyday life when you are in union with or in communion with the Christ impulse in the etheric body. It is just seen as a ritual and that's it. There is a form of sacredness and godliness around these rituals when it is taking place. But the real transformation power of it is lost. There is no transformation power. The real power, what it can bring about, is lost. Completely lost. It is just a tradition now. I can go on to say, if anyone can understand a small inch of what it is that your etheric body is being grafted to the etheric body of Christ, or your etheric body is transformed into the greater, your astral body is transformed into the greater astral body, if one can understand the meaning of it, is enough for them to experience the power of the spirit, which is going to cut open your flesh, that you will be in a state of ecstasy, a spiritual consummation, a joy that you will never have experienced in your lifetime. A small inch of the understanding of what it is enough. But that's not how we see. We can see people partaking in all that, and after 2 weeks, they are behaving like some other person. There is no transformation happening. So this is another example of what happens when there is only rules and traditions, and when the esoteric, the hidden knowledge of it is lost. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have for today. So let's understand and let's ask questions of what we are doing. And when you connect with the spirit of wisdom, when she is there, she will help you to understand what you are doing, what different tradition means. So if you ask me, I will give an advice. Just ask yourself whether you are evolving. Whatever you are doing is evolving or not. whatever spirit or being you're communing with is helping you to transform, is helping you to build your Christ and ego individuality. Because once this epoch is over, the next epoch or the next incarnation of the earth, the Jupiter phase, will allow only the people who have completely evolved their Christ and individuality, and the others will remain unevolved. And there is a different consequences for that. Okay, so this is the thing, we are demanded to evolve. Okay, every soul is being demanded to evolve. That's how it is. You cannot bring in what worked for you 10 years back. You cannot bring in what worked for you in your previous lives. This is about evolution of the soul. Okay, so yeah, I hope this will help you in whatever you're doing, and thank you for having me here.